In today's episode, we continue our mini-series looking at some of the more unusual aspects of the Bible. We're looking in particular at the second book of the Bible, Exodus, and some of its more interesting features. If you missed the first episode in this series, be sure to check it out before diving into today's episode. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. So let's get into it.
Exodus is one of 5 books in the Old Testament that are known as the Torah or the Law, the others being Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Genesis. Exodus, meaning departure, tells the story of the Israelites' exodus from slavery in Egypt to their conquest of Canaan, the Promised Land. Some scholars believe that the book was written around 1440 BC, although others argue for a much later date. Now let's look at some of the more interesting features of Exodus. Did you know that there are no chapters in the original Hebrew text of Exodus? Chapter divisions were added later by someone named Masereth ben Asher, who also divided the book into verses. Interestingly, the chapter headings often summarize the main idea of the material covered in that chapter. For example, chapter 20 begins with the words "and God spoke," indicating that this chapter contains the famous 10 Commandments. Exodus is full of what scholars call chiastic structures, meaning that ideas are presented in a particular order and then reversed later on in the text. A good example of this is the story of the golden calf in chapters 32 and 34. The people make the calf. Moses intercedes on their behalf, and then God forgives them. This pattern is then reversed when the people are hardened against Pharaoh. Moses intercedes, and this time God does not forgive them. Another interesting feature of Exodus is the use of parallelism. Hebrew poetry often uses parallel lines to emphasize certain ideas. For example, in chapter 15 we read, "The Lord is my judge. I declare the former things of old, for love and for wrath. I deal with you, O Lord, according to the multitude of your mercies." Here, the parallelism emphasizes the trustworthiness of God. Just as he has shown love and mercy in the past, so he will judge righteously in the future. Finally, the book of Exodus ends rather abruptly. It simply stops in the middle of a sentence. This is because the original audience of Exodus likely knew how the story of Israel's conquest of Canaan would end. They lived to see it happen. But for us, the ending of Exodus leaves us with a sense of anticipation for the next book in the Bible, Leviticus. As you can probably tell, there is a lot more to the Bible than meets the eye. We hope that this series has given you a glimpse into the beauty and complexity of Scripture. If you want to learn more about the Bible, be sure to check out our website. Thanks for watching.